Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl Bryan. Absolute pleasure to have you guys here, and thank you so much. We're going to do today a little bit differently than we do normally. I'm going to do is a Q&A with some of my legendary clients and rock star coaches. So they are on the line. A couple of them are going to raise their hands and ask me some questions. Some others, I'm just going to open them up and see what they're up to and how they're doing. So thanks for listening, guys, and let's get straight into it. I believe my boy Charles has got our first question, so I'm going to open up Charles. Oh, you're self-muted there, big fella. Can you unmute yourself again? There you go. Yo, Charles. How's it going, my man?
Good evening. How are you, Karl?
I'm fabulous. Lay it on me, man. I hear you got a fabulous question for me. What is it?
All right. So, Richmond, Virginia, talking to you here. I have a large client that we just booked. It's $1,000 a month, but the residual opportunity is $25,000, probably within 3 months.
Love it.
Given the scale of this, the business owner is demanding quite a bit of my time. And my question to you is, how do I manage the big case but keep the business rolling?
Yep. Okay, well, this is just 80-20 stuff. So it sounds to me when you sit down and do your math, because, we all know 80-20, right? But 80% of your, 20% of your activity is you're going to derive 80% of your efficiency, 80% of your billing, et cetera. So it sounds to me like this is probably this is well and truly in the 80. This is the 20 that's going to derive the 80. In fact, if you go a little bit deeper than that, what you'll find and what very few people talk about, like everybody knows 80-20. Here's kind of a little bit of the magic is if you take a magnifying glass and you put it over top of the 20, you're also going to find 1 to 2% derive about 80% of the 80. If you follow me, so that means that 1 to 2% of your business and 1 to 2% of the client that you're about to work with's business, you're going to find that by taking a magnifying glass over very small, but the difficulty is in finding what it is, right? Because once again, these things sound good, conceptually, getting down and drilling down and working out exactly what that 1 to 2% can be. That's where the magic is. That's the art, not the science. The 80-20 is science, and working out the 1 to 2 is very much art. But the good news is that like 2% of the business can derive almost 80% of the efficiency, the funding, et cetera. But anywho, so in this instance, which is a little bit different than that, I really, it's one of those things where you probably got to put a couple other things on hold. I wouldn't put everything on hold. Otherwise, what you're going to find is you're going to ride that inevitable roller coaster where right now, you're busy. You've got this client. You got probably a couple others that you're working with, possibly some leads that you're following up on. And then you got this huge opportunity that looks like about $25,000 over a couple of months. So I'd be taking a good percentage of my time, call it 60% of the workday, putting it to, or 60% of the week might be a better way of framing it up. But I think it's just one of those things from a macro perspective. You rise up 30,000 feet, look at the business, and this is a client that you need to look after. This is a milestone that you'd be best to achieve so you can realize that $25,000. Give me a little more detail. What's the $25,000 for? Like, how are you earning this as a contingency?
It's a distressed business that needs a transition strategy. And I'm in the eyeballs of the analysis of that transition strategy within the last 10 days.
Okay, so what are you going to deliver to realize your this payment of roughly $25,000?
The transition strategy to new ownership.
Oh, okay. So literally, like we're talking about a roadmap, a plan. Like they're looking. Is there a deployment of this, or this is a paper deal that you're going to put on their desk, they're going to approve of, and they're going to deploy over the next X amount of months?
They will look at it. They will approve it. I will manage the engagement of the transition. That's what takes the time.
Yeah. Okay. So, but is your $25,000 contingent on that? Like on the fulfillment? Like at what stage? Like when do you get paid? When they approve of the paperwork, or when the transition is on its way?
When the transition's on its way.
Yeah. Okay. So, and is there a milestone there? Because that's a pretty subjective thing.
Yeah. Right? The first milestone is the 15th. And that's the analysis and the recommendations. And that meeting's already set. The analysis is 95% done.
Yep.
And there's some due diligence that has to be done around the presentation, and that will be that the window there is the last 2 weeks of July, and we anticipate it being accepted. And then once that's accepted, we got roll up our sleeves and get the ownership transition completed.
Yep. So the 15th. So we're talking about approximately 10 days. Is that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know that this is, I think from a macro perspective, it's pretty, you take a good chunk of your time. How far into this are you? Like, how far are you from being comfortable that the paperwork and the roadmap is, did you say 90? Where is that at?
As of today, it's 90%.
Yeah. So I think and you've obviously spent an enormous amount of time on it over the last X amount, like the last month or few weeks, right?
Yes. Last 3 weeks, it's all my time.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't, and again, there sounds like they're a long-term client. Like there's a one-time fee of the $25,000, but they're going to continue to pay you long-term, correct? That's the expectation here?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. And is there other opportunities, do you feel, for like these, like other $25,000 type milestone payments as you move along? Do you feel like there's more jam there?
I think there's an opportunity to get the e-learning system in there and help them with their growth strategy. That will be that one transition leads to the next transition, which would be the growth strategy to start building on the new business structure.
There you go. Okay. Now, as far as lead generation for your other, so in order to move everything out of the way and take this on, taking the majority of your time, what are you not doing? Like, are you normally filling events, or how are you getting clients generally? Going to the chamber, networking? What's your lead generation normally?
My strategy right now is I'm affiliated with an incubator, so I've made a presentation to have the e-learning system as a core product for the incubator for everyone who signs up in the incubator. So that's going on.
Oh, beauty. That's a new initiative?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's going to go gangbusters. That's a beauty. So it's just basically you've got a JV partner there.
That's correct.
They're putting the system in front of them. No, look, I think that this is a pretty straightforward one. I think that you've already put in the time anyways. You're 90% there. Follow, in the next 10 days, follow through and do whatever it takes to get that thing up to snuff. Get super comfortable, get the feedback that you need from that company to make sure that once the fulfillment starts, that it's going to be somewhat seamless. Get that $25,000 one-time payment, which send me a high five because congratulations. That's going to be a fun day. And then make sure that you don't drop the ball, with the incubator, because it's not just put the e-learning system in front of them. No doubt there's a little bit of massaging and a little bit of, TLC that's required in order to see that through and realize the clients. So I'd get on that, but I think that I'd put that, I don't know, on hold, but semi on hold here for the next 10 days until you can get that going. But I'll also tell you this, that normally a client who agrees to a $25,000 check and then writes you a $25,000 check, there are a lot of other opportunities because their mindset is obviously that they're willing to make these contingency deals and these payments. You know, there's other $25,000 deals to be had here. So again, at the end of the year, if you have a look at this client, if you can get them to do, say, 2 of these deals, that would be $50,000 plus the grand a month for 12 months. You've got, you know, $62,000 in this one client. This could be a beauty. And when you do your 80-20 at the end of the year, I think you're going to find that this is well and truly, you know, this could fall into that magnifying glass of 1% to 2% where I started the whole thing. So yeah. I'd keep your eye on the price. So that's what that's, and I'm guessing that's what you're thinking anyways, but that's what I'd be doing. And yeah, go do whatever it takes to realize this $25,000 payment. You're very, very comfortable that they got the dough and that this is something that's going to be paid too, right?
Oh yeah, I've got their I know all the ins and outs of the financials. So.
Yeah, okay, and that's just one of the other things that I sometimes, you know, like, you know, a lot of clients, they'll sign these deals like you do X, Y, Z, and then I'm going to pay you, you know, this lump sum at whatever time, and then sometimes that lump sum doesn't happen. But to be honest with you, I've always found your intuition is very, very powerful there. And if you feel like it's going to be realized and it's not a big deal, which you clearly do, you should be going for it and, you know, putting the eggs in that basket. But sometimes you get a little bit queasy and feel a little bit dicey, and intuition, from my experience, has normally been pretty close. So I'd watch that. But
yeah, I'm good with this one. This one's good.
You beauty. Okay, Charles, good stuff, man. Good question. Good job. Congrats on the monster client there. That sounds like a beauty. And next up, I've got my buddy Diana. One sec here. I need some more questions here, guys. Put your hands up. And Diana, you are self-muted, my love. So if you want to, you got to unmute yourself there. Oh, there we go. Yo, hi. Diana.
Hey, Karl. Nice to hear from you.
You bet. How are you doing? Lovely to have you on the phone.
I'm good. I just, you know, played with new things that you put in my head. And I got 2 clients, but none of them signed up, but I played with 2. So that was,
that was fun. I like it. Good attitude. Good attitude, right? If you're not going to sign up clients,
that was fun. Yeah, I just played with the whole sign up for the licensee, please. That's what I'm talking about. But it was not going as always expected. But I learned from the process. I just see that I have a pattern of something. So so until now I did not use the call script or anything going outside too much. I kind of went to my network, and then what I see that I'm doing, I don't close on the people are not clear on how they should pay me, and I don't know how to do this right. I'm just stumbling about the numbers. I don't tell them clearly. I coach about 10 right now.
10 clients.
Here and there, 10 clients. Yeah, smaller clients, smaller deals, not something big. I mean, 5 of them are at the startup. Another 2 or 3 are in you know, what I call the evolving age, because they're just going from 300 to $1 million, and that's what I'm working with them. But I don't know how to. I don't get the monthly payment from them. I don't know how to get in the discussions. I mean, somebody is like, oh, they keep asking me. I don't know. I did not send them anything. Okay, I did not send them any. And I don't know how to do this. I'm so bad at it. But I continue to coach them, and they love me. Okay.
I get it. Who would not love you, Diana? To be clear, that's painfully obvious. But here, so tell me, I'm a little bit confused. Who's not, like, you're working with these clients and they're not paying you? Is that what you're saying to me?
Yes, because it was my fault. Okay, I did not set it up from the beginning with the clarity around how much money this is gonna cost me. And at the beginning, obviously, for a few of them, I had no idea what to tell them. And because some of them are closer to me, friends or closer to me. So I do have one that, for example, I just set up as a challenge for me to put him out of his 9-to-5 jobs until the end of August. Yep. And I think we made a great video that I would love to share with you guys, because he's doing something awesome there. But when he asked me, okay, how much am I going to pay for this? I was like, I don't know, you've been my success story. I don't know. I didn't know what to tell him.
All right. Okay. Well, interesting problem to have, but that's okay. We battle all problems around here, right? But look, $997 is kind of like the baseline that you should use for your coaching. 500 is a little bit too inexpensive, but at the same time, if that's all they can afford is $6,000 a year, plug them in. $997 is a good. If you think about it, 10 clients at $1,000 a month is $120,000 a year. And frankly, you know what I mean, that's kind of what we use around here as a baseline. Like a coach needs to make six figures to keep going and make it a career and, you know, continue on, you know, past a certain point. So $997, if you're really kicking butt and taking names, like you just heard a minute ago from Charles, right? Like again, he's charging him. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I think it was $1,000 a month. But then he's got a milestone payment where once he does X, which is deliver this document and then start the process, he's getting a one-time $25,000 fee. For you, I wouldn't worry about that. Charles is a little more experienced, right? And this is a little bit outside the box. But this $997 a month is your baseline, and you can go up and down slightly from there. And as you become more experienced and more seasoned, and the results come, and the results become at a higher level, you know, you start moving up towards $2,500 a month. So, but look, $997.
My problem is I don't know how to conduct a discussion. Whenever we get to that point, I'm shying away. It's not like I know the numbers. I have them in my mind. I'm just not telling them, or I'm not following up with an email or some kind of, here's the contract or something like that. I don't do that. I just jump too fast into coaching them.
Yeah. Okay. Look, this one you got to get your head around. By the way, Alan is going to be able to help you with this. Start working with Alan. He's got the process down to a fine art and science. Okay, and he'll provide it for you, literally scripts and whatnot. But Diana, here's again, if I were just to break it down. I'm sitting there and I'm talking. I'm going to sell you coaching right now, Diana, right? So we've gone through the process. I found you $100,000. We're like 45 minutes into the conversation. I go, Diana, what do you think? Do you want a little bit of help? I know you know this stuff, but you're not doing this stuff. So if you know it and you're not doing it, you don't really know it. You only know what you do, right? Would you agree that accountability is probably a pretty good idea? I'd be amazed if you don't agree with me at that stage, especially after finding you $100,000, right? Well, I just say, now I get affirmative, I get a yes from you. Remember, the sales process is all about getting a series of yeses. Can you see the impact that would have on your business? You go, yes. I go, could you realize that two joint venture partners completely change the complexion of your business? You say yes. I know I'm on the way to getting a yes when I ask you if you want coaching. Like this is the acid test, right? So I get a bunch of yeses from you through the process, happens organically. And now at the point so look, we get to the end and it's like, do you want a little bit of help with this? Again, knowing and doing are two different things. You don't know it if you don't do it. You're not doing it. What do you think? A little bit of accountability. You say yes. Okay, I'm looking for that word from you. And if I don't get it, then I ask it the same question a different way until you say yes. And I say, fantastic. Here's where we're going to do it. So I'm going to set you up. My higher end program is $2,500 a month. From your revenues and the profit margins that you have, Diane, I think that's a little bit rich for you. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm basically going to provide you my coaching at $997 a month, which is significantly discounted. But I'll tell you why I'm doing it. I think year 2 we'll be able to move into my $2,500 program, the more expensive one. But in the interim, let's get your profits up. Let's get your revenues up. Let's really get this place jacked in terms of we'll get those joint ventures going. We'll get that advertising campaign. We're going to accelerate the word of mouth and the referrals that we talked about. So let's do this. It's $997 a month. That's $12,000, a little bit less than $12,000 a year. But remember, Diana, after we just went through your numbers, one of your clients is worth $12,000 or whatever the number is. But even if it's worth, let's say one of your clients is worth $6,000, Diana, over 12 months, all I've got to do is get you 2 clients for you to break even. I got to help you get 4 clients to double your investment in me. We're going to do more to the point. We're going to find a way to get 40 of them. But look, let's walk before we run. But I don't want you to fret. You are going to double your investment in me without question. And you're going to have, me here to hold your hand, kick you in the pants, hold you accountable, help you get all this stuff started. So I'll tell you what. What does Monday work? How does Monday work for you for our weekly accountability calls? I get you to whip open your calendar. You go, yep. I go, perfect. Okay, so how are we going to pay for that? So do you prefer to do Visa, MasterCard, or American Express?
Okay, and those are the last five words is what I don't say. Okay.
Yeah, okay. You have to, Diane. Otherwise, you can't. And if they don't pay for it, there's an argument to say that they're not going to value it at that level. So believe me, you're doing them a favor. But you can't work for free, Diana, right? So if these people want you to hold them accountable and to kick them in the pants and to coach them and to help, do X, Y, Z, they understand that they need to pay you the same way that you realize that they need to pay their client. Their clients need to pay them in order for them to pay you. It's a 101 of the world. So you got to get your head around that one. But that's the way you close it right there. You say, how do you want to pay? Visa, MasterCard, or American Express? And then you don't say anything after that. And you let them say, and then if they come up with an objection, this is a good thing. Oh, well, geez, I'm a bit nervous. $12,000, that's a lot of money. Well, say, yeah, it's a lot of money, but when you're looking at your revenues and you're looking at your profit margins, a lot of money is the stuff that that's unrealized. I mean, we've been sitting down for less than an hour. You can see there's over $100,000 of missed revenues here. Let's go exercise this stuff. And this is where you can banter, you could discount for a couple months, you could scale up your pricing. But Diana, you got to get your head around it. I mean, that's one. It's psychology 101, right? There's a block for you, and you got to overcome it. Or A, you're not going to be able to sign up to coaching clients, and B, you're not going to be able to take those clients to the next level. And I don't need to meet them to know that left to their own devices without a coach, they're not operating at the level that they potentially could. That's a foundational belief for me, is that without accountability, you just don't have execution at the level that you should just naturally have it. But we all need accountability, and we don't have it as business owners. That's why coaches exist. Does that help any? Is that, I know it's like it's Diana, you just got to ask the question, and you need to be forceful, and you need to be totally like one of the things too, Diana, see, when I sell coaching and some of the folks on the phone have, bought something from me at different times, when I'm presenting something, I've just got 100% dead set expectation that you're going to say yes. Like I really do. There's no doubt in my mind that you're saying yes, and not everybody says yes. But I could tell you, I could get 3 no's in a row, and on the 4th call, I would have an equal, if not more, enthusiasm. Like that's part of the gig, right? So just total certainty and total expectation. In fact, there's a thing that I heard Tony Robbins say one time, but if 2 people walk into a room, and provided there's rapport, right? They need to like you and you need to like them is basically rapport. A little more complicated than that, but that's it in a nutshell. The person with the most certainty will influence the other one every time. So
you gotta have
they're either more certain that they're not going to do it, or you're more certain that they are going to do it, and one person is going to end up winning. And your job is to override their certainty that they're going to buy coaching. And in order to do that, you got to ask for the credit card number.
Okay.
Makes sense? Is that helpful?
It is helpful. I will figure out how I'm going to go back now after I already coached them for so long.
To be honest with you, this is part of, Diana, here's your problem. Going back is very challenging, but you do have to, because there's no point. I know you're kind of joking around, but like playing with these guys is not what we need to be doing here. What we need to be doing is charging them, getting their credit cards, and putting them through your machine. So if you don't get good at what I just described, and it like any, I've done it thousands of times. So for me to spit it out, just off the top of my head, I realize that it's, oh my gosh, it's just not that easy is what, often people could be thinking to themselves as I spit it out. But the reason it's easy for me is because I've done it thousands of times. Do you know what I mean? And unfortunately, there's no steroid that I can inject into your bum. There's no magic salt I could put over top and sprinkle into your hair. This is just one of those things where you've got to go out and play with it. Like, there you go. You just go play with that instead of playing with the clients. You know, play with creative ways of getting them to pay, as opposed to, you know, playing with helping them, you know, get results and whatnot.
Okay.
Cool. I hope that's helpful, my love. But
thank you.
Again, strengthen your resolve. Grab that certainty and you just ask the questions. How do you want to? That's awesome. How do you want to pay? Visa, MasterCard, or American Express? And then you don't say a word afterwards. Okay? Magic words. Okay, Diana, thank you so much, and thank you for putting up your hand. I got some more here. Let me get to my next question. I hope that's helpful for everybody. Okay, so guys, I don't have my glasses. You guys want to hear a little bit of Karl Bryan 101. So I log into my go-to webinar here, and I have to take a photo of the phone number and the access code and then get it on my phone and then expand it so that I can read it. So in other words, I should probably wear glasses. I'm not that age where it's happening, but I flatly refuse, and so here I am. But anyway, so my boy Jim, and I can't read your last name, Jim, I apologize. Yo, Jim, how's it going, my man? Is that Kaspari? Jim, you there, buddy? I think I can hear you breathing, dude, but I cannot read your name for the life of me, unless I take a photo of it. Okay, I'm going to put you back on mute. If you got a question, just come back to me. Masick. Okay, hang on a sec. Yo, Masick. Oh, you're self-muted, my man. I'm going to open you up, but you are muted. Masick.
Can you hear me?
There we go. Hey, there we go. How you doing, man?
Carl, mate, welcome from down under.
Thank you. How's the weather down there, bud? You wearing your Speedo, hanging out at the beach?
No, Sydney at the moment is absolutely miserable and wet. So it's one of those mornings that you just rather be in bed.
Is that right? Miserable for you and miserable for us in North America. Normally,
Mate, I'll be
What's miserable?
I'll be over in Canada in September, so I look forward to being back over there. So.
Are you beauty? Where are you going? Where are you coming through?
I'll be in Toronto for a week. So I was if I was heading back across to Vancouver, I'd try and pop up and say hello, but I won't be, unfortunately.
I was going to say, but anyways, okay. And by the way, so Sydney, give us the miserable weather that you'd rather be in bed for. What's the temperature?
Mate, at the moment it's a lovely 15 degrees and raining. So it's
15 degrees and raining. And for our American friends, hang on a second, I got to help here. 15. Do you know what that is in Fahrenheit?
Wouldn't have a clue.
Hang on, let's.
It's interesting hearing myself.
There we go. 59.
It's interesting hearing myself and all the other accents, and I think I don't have an accent until I speak after Canadians and Americans, and then it's just like, wow, you really do sound like an Aussie.
You do, mate. You do. But I told you the story. So I lived in Australia, right? For 15
yes, I know.
years.
I know. Yeah.
When I met my wife, I had an Australian accent, so she refers. And when I say Australian accent to you, and then an Australian accent to a Canadian, right? It's slightly different, by the way.
Yes.
But I did sound pretty Aussie. I can tell you that comfortably, and I well and truly, I knew how to ham it up a little bit quietly. But anyway, so I met her. I had an Australian accent, so she refers to it to this day as fake advertising. So there you go.
Anyway, guys, thank you. I'm loving the concept of being part of this group. I'm just new as well, so I've been consulting for 15 years, and I'm trying to now transition from consulting to coaching, and I've given myself a 6 to 12 month transition period to completely move away from consulting as a main income stream and focus on coaching, and then provide consultancy as a value add if needed. The challenge that I've got at the moment is, I guess, I've got a good reputation in the consultancy space around working with what's referred to as RTOs, registered training organizations, or in your case, community colleges, private community colleges.
Yep.
So
Swinburne,
I've done that my whole life. Correct. So all the private little TAFEs and Swinburnes and those types of things. So there's never been a month that I've probably done less than 20K in consultancy on my own. So the concept of being financially secure from consultancy has always been there. The challenge now becomes similar to the first caller, where, again, it's an 80-20 rule, but from my point, I can devote a day or two if I need to set up the coaching business and start. And I've already got my my email set out to say, look, I'm writing a book. I want to talk to you about your experiences. What are your biggest challenges and pain points? And then use that as an entry to, right, well, how can I help you as well as setting up strategic partnerships along the way with various organizations. Yep. My challenge, though, is shifting my mindset from consultancy and fixing the problem to coaching and on 3 days of consultancy and then having to switch to, right, let's just listen and push that problem.
Yep. Yeah.
How have you overcome?
So a couple of different things I hear there. Because first of all, this is a psychology thing. It always comes back to psychology, right?
Yep.
Success, failure, winning, losing. You know that, right? But here's the thing: like you've never done less than 20 grand with your consulting, right? But the question is, have you ever done 100 grand in a month?
Yes.
And I would guess that. Oh, you have. Okay, so you'd be the 5%, right? Not the 95. Most folks wouldn't be able to say that. And I just say that in that the scalability, the one thing with the TAFEs and the RTOs, or the community colleges, we'll call them for the sake of the global audience. Do you know what I mean? Like those are not like small business owners are literally a dime a dozen, right? Like 96% of businesses don't make it to 7 figures. So the chiropractor, the dentist, the builder,
correct,
the mortgage broker, the realtor, etc. I mean, to say that there's a lot of them is like the understatement on steroids. So the opportunity to go and get 100 clients, 500 clients, and then grow from there is totally realistic. Whereas with the RTOs, there is a reasonably finite market. Yes, you can charge significantly more, but the opportunity for scale, building a team, building a team of coaches underneath you is something that's not at, you know what I mean? It's not, that opportunity isn't as
absolutely
impressive. So,
100%.
Okay, so that's my way of trying to just adjust your psychology that will be worth it, right? So it's not, because it's one thing to do it, and I know you got that bandwidth for sure. It's a matter of just doing it, but is it going to be worth it is probably the internal battle that you'll play in order to make those 2 days available to the smaller guys, right?
And that's part of the challenge, is that I'm going from productizing my consultancy at, say, $20,000 for a package to do X, to now productizing it from a coaching service, which I've floated the idea with a lot of clients already, and they're all just saying, hurry up, set it up, and move into it. And so,
it's a good thing.
So I've got that. It's just, unfortunately, like last month, I did the orientation call. I'm like, sweet, I know what I have to do to get my book done and my website set up, but I literally got smashed for 20 working days where I had no bandwidth mentally to go, I now need to set up my coaching business. So that's my challenge.
Okay, and possibly a solution. So a solution, money, people, it'd be very difficult for you to come up with a problem that I couldn't solve with money or people. I would say that possibly getting a coach to come in, a high-end executive coach type, that could take on some of these bigger clients that could, and suitably look after them. So you'll have to pay them reasonably well, which could be a percentage of the coaching fees. But that's probably not a bad idea. Bring somebody in, except that you're going to have to walk before you trot and then run with that individual. But I would maybe bring them in because the broader goal is to scale and really knock this thing out of the park, right? 7 figures and above for you. So, so doing that in the TAFE, the community college world, I think it's going to be significantly harder than it is in the small business world, just by 100% the size of the market, right? So,
and this is, I've set up 2 brands for that. So I've set up RTO Coach, which is going to be the sort of more executive coaching aspect of one-on-one, one to mastermind. And then I've got Infinite Business Coaching, which is effectively what I've set up as a future global brand to do what we're talking about, being the one to hundreds and thousands.
Yeah, I like it. So yeah, that's just what I think probably hiring somebody to come in versus hire somebody to come in and do the little stuff, because that one's already running. You've already got it, you know what I mean, to a fine art and science, signing up the community colleges. So I feel like bringing somebody in to manage some of those coaching calls and accepting that you'll need to be involved to a degree, but bringing somebody in there, and then you get stuck into the smaller guys and the scale of, you know, the broader opportunity that's potentially scalable, and putting a larger team of coaches underneath you at some stage as you grow.
What about the psychology of mind shift, going from consultancy to coaching on within a day period?
Yeah, Kate, I think, like, I'm hybrid on steroids, right? Like, I'm not a huge fan of traditional coaching. Like, traditional coaching says your client already knows what they need to know. You just need to draw it out of them, right? And then I often say that I get a better phrase, you motivate an idiot and they stupid things quicker, right? And that's not to be too harsh and crass, but you see, with these small business guys, I think it's going to suit you to a T, because I believe that we should be going in with some ready-made solutions, right? So like if I'm going in and say I'm going to...
Which is where the web platform comes into it and so forth, yeah?
And the marketing turnkeys, right? We've got like $100,000 marketing system. You want to go work with a builder tomorrow, you could walk in with a $100,000 marketing system ready to rock and roll, right? So there's an element of coaching, psychology, getting them out of their own way, helping them think bigger, a bit like this conversation in different ways, right? And then, but also the consulting aspect of it is that, well, here's the marketing system. This is the way your website needs to look. This is the way these are the tools that you need to have in place. This is your pre-positioning material, etc. So I think a hybrid of consulting coaching is really where you should be anyways. Yep. And you're the master, do you know what I mean? The consulting side of it, a little bit of psychology, that's, you know what I mean? Again, easy peasy. So no, I think that your solution for the small business guys should be well and truly a hybrid of consulting and coaching. So
cool. Yeah, I love the space that I'm in, and I often wondered, how do I move into the general business world? And then it's changing the mind shift to sort of go, hang on, why wouldn't what I'm doing for the RTO space work for every other business? Of course it does. Snap out of it.
Look, that one right there, 100%. And I always just come back to, anybody who reads my emails or hears me get interviewed or whatever, but it's like marriages break up from lack of money, not lack of love, times 100, right? Suicides happen every single day over businesses failings. And sometimes it's not suicide, but we all know, that alpha male who gets punched in the mouth from the business, and it happened in 2008 with, at a ridiculously rate over here in North America, especially. And dad didn't, it wasn't a suicide, but dad literally was in hibernation. He was in a solid state of depression for like 3 years, right? Well, his kids went from 7 to 10 watching dad in the fetal position in bed practically, right? Moping around the house, watching TV, watching reruns of Days of Our Lives, right? Like, this is why we exist. So I just, again, when you're playing with your psychology and you're like, the RTO stuff, it's going to work as well in the small business space, and I just got to get my head around it. Rise up the purpose, like, why the hell are we doing this? And just think about dad in the fetal position. Think about the suicide. Think about the divorce. Think about the kids within the divorce.
Carl, other than the kids, the other two topics are very close to my mind. So trust me, I know both the divorce and the suicide aspect as well. And I get it.
There we go. So high five to that, and I think that's going to help you with changing gears on Tuesday when it's a little bit hard to change gears on Tuesday. Like, there's a significantly higher purpose, a lot more important than you or me, for the reason why you're doing this. So
correct.
Go there, and I think that shift's going to be real easy on Tuesday, if you know what I mean.
Love your work, mate.
Cool. You're a legend, man. Thanks for chiming in, dude. Oh, actually, hang on. I think I cut you off there. Sorry, man. Sick, you legend. But anyways, man, he's in his Speedo at the beach, Bondi Beach in Sydney, the lucky duck. Ha, ha, ha. No, he's not, but he will be in about 2 months. Okay, next up here, once again, guys, if I had glasses on, I'd probably read all this stuff, but I can't. So we're going to open up Michael. Yo, Michael, you there, bud? It appears that you are self-muted. Michael McKay, it looks like. Yo, Michael McKay. Sorry, man, you're self-muted there, brother. Gotta unmute yourself. question here. Pamela, I can read this one. Yo, Pamela Heath, how are you?
Hi, can you hear me?
I can. How's it going, Pamela?
So going okay. I'm striving to get myself in the game.
That's what I like to hear. And what are you doing do you have a number one challenge or a question for me?
So, I think where I get hung up, I've been trying to practice with my accountability buddy, and I get hung up like in terms of like having the conversation. What I did was I filled out the mini audit sheet for myself for my business.
Yep.
And I wanted to be familiar with how to walk somebody through it. And I noticed that when I did it for my business, there were so many things that I didn't know the answers to.
Yep.
And so I started trying to figure out, what does this mean? So that I could walk somebody through it, I need to understand it myself.
Yep.
So, like for instance, it says, do you record every inquiry on your database, even if it's not a sale? What does that mean?
What does it mean? For an average business owner, I'm a mortgage broker. Somebody calls up and says, hey, I'm interested in XYZ. So one of the tricks of the trade in, say, mortgage and real estate is just say, okay, absolutely, can I just grab your name and your phone number? I've got somebody on the other line that we're just doing we're just closing a really difficult deal for. Let me grab your number, your name, your number. Oh, by the way, email address, just in case. Sometimes I'll give it to you, sometimes I don't. You hang up the phone, you call them back in 5 minutes. You've now got all their information. Boom, on the database.
I see. So then, if somebody is inquiring, like I'm having a dialogue with a possible lead, and it doesn't turn out, do I record that? Do I keep them?
Should absolutely get their name, phone number, and email address wherever possible. This is not always possible. It's cool, right? But if you can, absolutely, because you see what's going to happen. In fact, here's what happens. If your last 10 coaching clients, right? If you go back 90 days from when they signed up, you will see that they had an event, okay, quote unquote. An event is a child, a birth, a death, a divorce, a marriage. Like there's a staff member being hired, a staff member leaving. It's a staff member leaving and taking a bunch of clients. It's a trade show coming up. It's a trade show gone by, and they're pissed off at the results. Okay? So that event will lead them to make decisions. The problem is that you don't know when I'm going to have my event. In fact, I don't know when I'm going to have my event, right? When I have it, you will find that all of a sudden, because you ever been invited to something, let's just say it's a local marketing seminar, and then you're like, oh God, these guys won't leave me alone. Oh, how can I get off this database? Oh my God, this dickhead won't leave me alone. And then boom, you get one day. Sometimes it's from the dickhead, and sometimes it's from somebody else. And guess what? You go. And you're like, how the hell did I end up here? Right? I can't stand this guy, right? I can't stand these emails. I can't stand these events. And boom, you're there. Or there's the chamber event, and it's like chamber event. And you're like, no. And then boom, you're there, right? So and that happens for you. That happens for me. It happens for them. So with your prospect who didn't sign up on the given day, I can tell you over the coming months, the coming quarters, the coming years, that there will be an event in that person's life with 100% certainty that will lead them to make different decisions around things like coaching and accountability, consulting, etc. So that's where your e-learning system, your membership site is magic, where if I met somebody and then they were interested and then I couldn't convince them to go from interested to the next step, which by the way, you got to understand that is a sale. To get them to the next step is a sale. But once I realized that they weren't taking the next step, I would say, look, here's what I want to do. I want to give you a complimentary 12-month membership to my website. Why I'm going to do it? You give them you should always have a reason. Don't just do it for, you know what I mean? Shits and giggles. Give it to them for a reason. Like, I do this for 3 people a month. you just happen to be in a space like you're a realtor, and I love realtors. I used to be a realtor. My best friend's a realtor. My wife's a realtor. I've helped realtors go to, my mentor has helped realtors go to all different heights and levels. So I want to give you a 12-month membership. Boom. You put them in your membership. What's going to happen is they're now going to get two emails a week from you until they, what I say, die or quit, right? Like for the next 52 weeks and then ongoing. Well, when they all of a sudden hire the staff member, lose the staff member, have the child, a parent dies, somebody dies, and they start making different buying decisions and different life decisions, I want to be the email that they get that day.
Okay.
So I can't begin to tell you how valuable of advice, in my opinion, that is for the average coach, right? So it's just that, because sometimes you're like, oh, nobody says yes. And it's like, you know what? Just to a degree, this is true. And then to a degree, it's that our sales skills aren't sharp enough and our instincts aren't sharp enough yet to be able to convert these folks. But it's just sometimes you run into a series of people that just haven't had that event, and then you run into a series of people that have had the event, and bingo, bango, bongo. But very importantly, I want my email in my name to go into their inbox on the day they have the event. This is a day that they really notice your name, they watch your videos, and they with a high probability, buy coaching from. Make sense?
Yes, it does.
So that's where that question comes from, and that's basically what we're talking about there.
Thank you. That makes total sense.
Beautiful. Okay, Pamela, well, good to have you here. Appreciate your question. I'm going to go, let me have a look. We've got lots more, but moving around for somebody. Okay, find them. Okay, we're going to go back towards. You guys can't see anything I'm doing. I'm entertaining myself over here. I promise you, I'm doing something. I'm trying to find the darn questions on here, and I can't read stuff all. But anyway, Stan the Man. Yo, Stan the Man, what's happening, bud?
Yeah, hi, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fabulously. What's happening?
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Well, listen, I am facing a new situation. I have gotten a couple of people that in the finance industry that have financial advisors under them, and they're interested in having me do training.
Yep, beautiful.
And, the way I go about this is I do a 10K for them.
Yep.
To build up my credibility.
With the group or the individual?
Well, okay, I start out with the JV guy, the guy that's interested in hiring me, for him to see it and to evaluate it. And the first guy I did this for, I went about halfway through and he says, "Gosh, I'm sold. Okay, let's set this up." And on July the 17th, we'll meet. I think I can get about 15 or 20 advisors on the call.
Yep.
And the second one is I haven't done. I plan to do the same thing with the second one. Do a 10K and show him how good I am. And if he's impressed, then we'll set it up. Now, my question is, I haven't done any training offers before. I'm not quite sure what kind of offers I can make and how I can charge them. I'm running this from my head. One idea I have, one way I see thinking about is I could offer the group his advisors, offer them a group coaching and consulting.
How many are there? 15, 20, did you say?
15. One of them says he thinks he can get 15 or 20 to show up. I don't know what the other guy can promise yet. I haven't gotten quite that far.
Yep, that's okay. But look, can I help you with the model that I would encourage you to use?
Yes.
You do a front-end training for all of them, so you get the big dog to pay you. Let's just say there's 15 of them. Like, let's just make it $5,000, like $5,000 total for your day. Maybe it takes 1 or 2 days, whatever. How much have you trained financial planners before? Like, do you know what you'd get up there and say and how long it would take you? Like, is it a 1 or a 2 day course?
I've done individual training and coaching. I'm using the word sort of interchangeably. It's really coaching and consulting.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I mean in a group setting. Okay, so you haven't done that like with a group of 10
no,
to 20
I haven't
of them at one time?
I have not done it with a group, no.
Okay, so you just start, but at the end of the day, there's no rocket science. It's the same stuff that you consult and coach them on. Okay, you set that up as a 1-day training. You charge the guy who runs it X, like you could charge him $1,000, you could charge him $5,000. I mean, at the end of the day, it just, at what level is he at, at what level are they at, et cetera, right? But let's just say you're going to charge $5,000 for the 1-day training. And then the close at the end of the 1-day training is that I'll sit down with each and every one of you, because it's one thing to get up here and, set up my 7 steps. It's a whole other thing because psychology always plays into success. So we should probably sit down and go through your individual practice individually. And then what you do is you'd sell them $9.97 per month coaching or thereabouts. You can, if it's going to be like 15 of them, you might want to discount it down. But at the end of the day, let's just call it $9.97. So you do $5,000 for 1-day training for all 15 of them. And then the close at the end of that day, if you did a 2-day, might even be more valuable, and that there's enough to teach a financial planner for sure to go over a couple of days. But let's say that to begin with, take the pressure off yourself, do it in 1 day. The close at the end of the day is a 1-to-1 meeting with each of the individuals, and then you close each of the individuals on the $9.97 a month.
Okay, so 1 day you're talking about 8 hours of training, or?
No, don't go 8 hours. You'll lose them all. 5 is probably what you're going to find to be your max. Like do a 2-hour in the morning, a 1-hour break, and then 2 hours in the afternoon. At some stage, the stuff just becomes mush. Unless you're Tony Robbins and you can get everybody up dancing and massaging one another and that sort of stuff, which, by the way, this is, after you've done a lot of this, that'll become a lot easier. And quite frankly, it's really important. But anyway, so that's the answer. That's what I'd be doing. And by the way, you could do that training if you're not totally comfortable with it and you're not sure that he'd be willing to put down the lump sum. Remember, the money's going to be, and if 3 of them buy $1,000 a month, that's $36,000 a year, right? Because 3 clients at $1,000 a month is $12,000 multiplied by 3, $36,000. So remember, the $5,000 up front gets trumped big time by the 3 of the 15 that follow through on coaching for 12 months. So potentially what you might want to do is be willing, and this depends on his enthusiasm and your ability to close it, but if he's let you do that 1-day training for free, and once again, you get to close the guys on the 1-to-1 call or the 1-to-1 coaching at the end of that 1 day, because believe me, most of them, if you spend an entire day with somebody, like 5 hours of training and really grill them and give them your best stuff, believe me, they're going to want to get together with you 1-to-1 to take their career to another level, because they're a financial planner. They're probably struggling to make their $100,000, and they're driving a BMW and a Mercedes to look the part, possibly living in a house that probably is a little more expensive than ideal. These are people that are going to want a little bit of assistance. Like, you will be able to close those guys. So
okay. So did I hear you say that if I couldn't get for like $5,000 or a couple grand to do the training, that it'd be worthwhile for me to do it free?
Well, okay, what I'm saying is I want you to pull out a calculator and work out the math. And when you go, like most people will get excited, holy smokes, to show up for 1 day and get paid $5,000, that would be amazing. Well, to get paid by 3 people and potentially more, if there's going to be 15 in the room, right? To be able to get 3 people to pay you $1,000 a month for 12 months, that's $36,000, and the upfront training is $5,000. So be willing to do the training upfront for free in order to get to the $36,000 versus not be able to close the $5,000 and miss out on the $36,000 entirely because you couldn't get the training done. It's business is always math.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, this gives me some some good ideas. Yeah, okay. I'll propose that to the second guy. The first guy, he's already thinking just 1 hour of training. In other words, what he has in mind and what I was thinking of doing, I'll do the 10K challenge for his group of 15 or 20 advisors.
Yep. Okay, Stan, I hate to, but I don't know that I'd agree with that, because the 10K is your secret sauce, right? That's how you close people at 12 grand. So I would come up with different content for your training regime, the training program. And I don't know that like 1 hour, I don't know that that's going to be suffice in order for you to make the impact for them. Because, I mean, at the end of my talk, remember, I want them to be disrupted at a very high level, and I want them to not only want to talk to me, but feel like they need to talk to me. 1 hour might not be enough for you to do that.
Okay, I'm really glad I'm talking to you. I got to change that.
Yeah, but do you understand the 10K? If you give away all your secret sauce at the initial presentation, when you get together with them one-to-one, how are you going to close them at $1,000 a month? And remember, that's where the $36,000 came from. That's really important. That's the magic.
Do we have a training program that I could?
Multiple of them. So, look, Coach's Marketing Center, there's a few presentations there, but the one that comes to mind, if you get them for 2 hours, basically the Everything is Wrong video, okay, which is designed to disrupt them at a very, very high level and show them why their marketing is a dog's breakfast. Because if you pull out their business card, you're going to see the name at the top, the company name at the top, service, quality, dependability, and then the phone number and address along the bottom, right? Because that's what business cards look like. This is not effective. Or in fact, I was just about to write an email about I had a client many, many years ago, and the guy, I met him, and he's like, his biggest challenge was, he's like, Karl, everybody I sit down with, they never got any dough. Their credit rating always sucks. Just such it's such a gong show. So many declines and just so many people that can't get approved. It drives me crazy. And then I look at his business card, and the name of the company is Discount Mortgages, right? I think he had a third name to it, but it was Discount Mortgages something, like whatever it was, right? And I'm like, what do you expect, right? Like, call yourself Platinum Mortgages, Titanium Mortgages, Premium Mortgages. Like, so it's price desensitization. Oh, I'm screwing the word up. Price desensitization. I'm saying that right? So the idea is, so if you have a pizza shop, you could have 2-for-1 pizza, or you could put one word in front of pizza and be able to charge twice as much and be just fine and attract a completely different category of people. Gourmet pizza versus what everybody else calls it. You just call your pizza gourmet pizza, and it's going to go to entirely new levels, right? Like the name of, I actually said this on the podcast that I just did last week, but I was like, the name, like I was in my sister's basement when I named my company Leader Global Consulting, right? Started another company, Leader Publishing Worldwide. I had another Leader Consulting Group was my first kind of consulting business. So what I'm getting at, can you tell by the name of my company that I wasn't trying to think small potatoes. I was thinking big before I even got going. I was a one-man band, and I had global in the name of my company. So I'm giving you that. So as an example for the finance, sometimes these financial planners and whatnot, they can battle a little bit, and sometimes little marketing secrets like that could be magic. And all of that is basically in the presentation, Everything is Wrong. And it's right there in the Marketing Center. If you go to your website and you go /wrong, you're going to see the video right there waiting for you. And that's probably what I would deliver if they were going to just give me a couple hours. In fact, that would be a foundation of what I would deliver in the training program, no matter what. Because finance guys, they need to know how to market, and with ridiculous predictability, they don't. They're math guys, the successful ones at least. So marketing's not something that's going to come natural. That would be a big part of what I'd be presenting.
Okay. And how long is that again? That'd be like a 2
It's 2 hours, 2 hour presentation from memory. And again, you speed it up, slow it down, throw some questions in the middle, put a break in the middle. You can extend it at a pretty high level, plus throw in some of your own stuff, right? So, but you should, make sure, Stan, if you're going to have 15 people looking at you for, 2 hours straight, you got to make sure you're delivering content that you're really familiar with. Otherwise, they can kind of tell that if you're looking down at the notes too often, that sort of stuff, they'll see through it, right?
Right.
So know your material is the rule. So
Okay.
I hope that helps, buddy. Is that good?
It's a huge help.
All right, man. Well, high five, Stan the man. Good to have you here, bud. How long you been with us now? You've been with us years, right?
Yeah, I've been with you a couple of years.
Beautiful. Okay, Stan the man. Put you back on mute, dude. Who am I going to go to? I don't know if I have any hands up. Oh, Michael. Okay, hang on a second. Yo, Michael. Michael McKay. I'm trying to open you up, man. It doesn't seem to want to open you up, so I'm going to put you back on. Okay, what about my boy Tony Plies? I want to see how Tony's. Yo, Tony, what's happening, my man? Well, I can hear you breathing. No, I can't actually, but Tony, you there, man? Put you back on mute. How about Pam Lippett? I'm going to open Pam. Yo, Pam, how's it going, buddy?
Can you hear me?
I sure can. How's it going, Pam?
How are you doing? So this is a strange one that I've encountered over the years. Clients that spend too much time not just coaching, you're coaching them, but they're reading too much information on the outside. So they're constantly doing more education versus the work to keep the business going.
Yep.
Okay. So that, that personal education, doing affirmations, that sort of stuff.
Yep. Okay, these aren't you've got a team of, how many coaches do you guys have nowadays?
Pardon?
8 or 9. How many coaches? So are these your coach? Because you have a team of coaches as well, 8 or 9 coaches underneath you, right?
Sorry, I'm not talking about the coaches themselves. I'm talking about clients. Sorry, I meant
just the clients. Okay, so what I would
coaching clients.
Yep. So this
constantly doing self-improvement.
Okay, this is one of those things you got to combat up front, right? Like when I first start working with you, Pam, I just go, look, here's the scoop. My most successful clients look like this. My clients that get mediocre results look like this, and then my clients that fall on their backside and think that, I'm a jerk are X. And then in that, I would be littered with, here's what you have to try to avoid, right? All the information you're going to need and whatnot. You know what I mean? You could spend all day and night on Google watching videos, downloading reports, reading books, doing this, that, and the other, and you've already got enough knowledge within you, and at this stage, you've spoken to them a lot. Like, you know them pretty well. You know the ideas, the direction that they're going, the business model, the successes they've had in the past, the successes they've had recently, some of the successes they expect to have in the future, etc. So I just frame it up with that, right? Like, you gotta build walls on both sides of, you know what I mean? Basically, their forward direction, and say, just the books need to lie on the other side of the wall. Don't touch them. But here's the thing. Give me 6 months. This is the milestone we're looking to achieve. If we haven't achieved it, then we read the reports, reread the books. Let's go watch some videos. But can you do me a favor? Can we stay in the lane? Because remember, you made $120,000 of profit last year. Your goal is to get to 180. More knowledge at this stage is not necessarily, more knowledge is necessary, and different actions are most definitely necessary, but too much is just going to move you to overwhelm, and overwhelm just stops you from going, you know what I mean? Like, you get it? I'm framing this up with my client to keep them out of the books, but I would anticipate, because this is happening for you, this happens to me, it happens to them, it happens to all of us, so you got to just anticipate it and knock it in the backside early on. That's what That's
Yeah,
what I do.
they become paralyzed.
Yeah, this is it. And and by the way, see, you know that, right? So you got to tell them that. So they go, oh, well, do you want to be paralyzed? No, of course they're going to say that, right? Well, keep your nose out of the books. But by the way, at this 6-month mark, let's reassess where we're at, and then we'll discuss if we need to get into the books, get into the reports, get into more videos. But right now, we just need to form these 2 joint ventures, solidify these partnerships, start sending clients to them, have them sending clients to us, right? Because that's normally on our hit list for the first 6 months to really catapult that business. Say, let's do that. Keep your nose out of the books because it's just going to paralyze you. Right. They go, okay, that's a fair deal. I mean, if you wanted to go as far as literally get it in writing, you get them to write this stuff down. I mean, this stuff works. Make sense?
Yeah, it makes complete sense. I just think it's something that all coaches will encounter.
Yep, and for the but I mean, you don't fall into this category because you and Scott do a bang up job of the authority. But also one of the challenges that some of the coaches have, like say the newer, less experienced coaches than you, like one of the things I used to have a rule that if you didn't see me speak in public, I wouldn't coach you. And for the simple reason, this wasn't an ego thing. This was an authority thing that I had to know that I had total control of you, like in our coaching relationship, and that you had total, belief that my stuff was going to work. And I found that those that saw me speak in a room of, 10 to 50 people or more, but whatever, but let's just say 10 to 50 people, the authority that I held over top of them, and I don't mean held over top, but I mean that there was a level of respect that they had for me, let's say, that the ones that I met through other mechanisms like referrals, like I'd still accept referrals and I got tons of them, but I would meet you as a referral and then I'd say, come to my next event, and then I would coach you. But again, I wouldn't coach you until you'd seen me speak in public, and I found that combated that scenario and similar ones, by the way, as in people not bloody doing anything and then, second guessing and all this sort of hoopla. It works really, really well. So, yeah. So that could be something that some of the other coaches could be thinking about in terms of, make sure they get those live events, and these are the people you sign up as coaching clients.
Oh, there's no question when you stand up in front of that room, you've sold them.
Yeah, I've got a saying. Yeah, the guy at the front of the room makes all the money, right? Which, by the way, is clearly black and white and a generalization on steroids, but you can see where it comes from, right? It's magic. But anywho, anything else, Pam? Everything else all good?
That's it. Thanks. I just needed that kick in the butt reminder.
Yep. Beauty. Okay, I'm going to put you back on mute. Excellent question. We're coming towards the end here, guys. Actually, Brian's got a question. Last question. Yo, Brian, how you doing, bud?
Doing great. Really loving this whole thing today. You said Visa, MasterCard, and American Express. I'm just getting started, and I did PayPal. Is that too tame?
No. Okay, yes, because you can't. The answer is yes. The reason why is what do you have set up? Like if you coach me and it's $9.97, you're going to send me an invoice every month?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to have an automatic payment that just goes through. You don't want to have to send, because then it's like every month they're making a decision whether or not they're going to continue.
Do you work with a bank? With a bank then, or somebody?
Yep. You can actually do it through PayPal. You can set up a merchant services through PayPal. Very easy to do. But again, in an ideal world, you'll go one step past PayPal and get your own merchant services. I'd absolutely do that. Yeah.
Where do you get that?
Just you walk into the bank and tell them what you need, and they'll set it up for you. Easy peasy.
Okay.
Or you could do it through Square. There's lots of online solutions, quite frankly. It's not complicated. But if you want to go and you got a good relationship with your bank, just walk into your bank and use what they use. Like I bank at a TD, Toronto Dominion Bank, and then they have a relationship with called Beanstream, and so basically, but keep in mind we do considerable volume, etc. So this is a relationship which Beanstream might not be the right solution for you at this stage, is what I'm getting at. But walk into the bank, explain to them what you got going, some approximate revenues as to what you expect to get. At the end of 12 months, you expect to be doing say, 15, 20 grand a month, let them know that, and then they'll set you up with the right solution.
Okay, thanks.
Cool beans. Okay, Brian, good question, bud. All right, well, thank you so much all for coming. Thank you for those fabulous questions. I think that's going to be it for today. Normally I got my boy Road Dog, but he's not here today, so we did the old Q&A. But everybody here, guys, I wanted to thank you for being here at Business Coaching Secrets. All those of you listening, appreciate you. And by the way, if you like Business Coaching Secrets, you like the podcast, please make sure that you share it. Take a photo of the podcast and put it up on social media. Be super appreciated. But at the end of the day, we'll see you next time on the podcast. And thanks so much for being here. See you later, everybody.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0 to train business coaches how to find any small business owner more than $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. This becomes a business coach's superpower. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at Focused.com.